Hello my front-end friends, and welcome back to my series where I'm building out this front-end mentor project. In today's video, we're going to be tackling this part that you can see on the screen right now, which is the numbered list thing that we have here, which until I opened up the Figma file to start recording for today, I thought wouldn't be too bad. And then I realized there's something that's a little bit annoying we're gonna have to deal with, where the spacing here where there's no space underneath, and then we have the spacing over here and it works like that. It's not quite as straightforward as I was hoping, just because here like we have my H3 and then a paragraph. And I was sort of hoping to be able to use something very simple to do this. I think we'll still be okay, but lining up the text here might be a bit more of a challenge than I was initially thinking. Though I do have some ideas on how it can be done, but I don't know if it's going to work. And that's the fun of this series, I think, is exploring, sort of trying to do something, but like not pre-planned and seeing if I run into issues or anything, but I'm hoping it works. So yeah, that's the main focus of what we'll be doing in this video. So if you haven't been following along, or you just want to follow along from where I am now, I've put the link to the GitHub repo down below, and you can just do let's do a clear here, and then an npm install, and then after the npm install, we do an npm run dev, and we're off and running, and we're good to go. And there is some house cleaning and other stuff that we definitely need to do, but I want to tackle this part first. And let's get the mobile version on screen for now, because we'll worry about that one first, I think. And so let's shrink this down so we can take a look at both of these at the same time. Cool. Alrighty. So let's jump right into it. I just noticed the line height on everything is a lot bigger too. But we'll get back to that on the house cleaning. For now, let's get into how we're going to set this up. So one thing is definitely this is centered. I think we'll do that later. I'm going to focus really on this for now. And we need to bring in the numbers, which I was originally going to do with, like, we could have these have the number. So this is a UL and it's numbered items. So the issue is in here, I'm just going to come and create a new section here called numbered items. The problem that can happen is we can control the list a little bit. So if I do a list style here and we do that, it's, say, we'll just do decimal for now, and I'll save. That should refresh. Oh, I think we have something overriding it. So let's just do my important on there. Okay, so we have the numbers coming in, and like on that, let's just do my numbered items, and we can use the marker. Whoops, not matches. We can use marker. And we can style them a little bit. So I could say like color is red or whatever. And the color of them actually does change. So we can see that those have switched over to red. We could say that the font weight is bold. And so we could style them, and I could do a lot, but we can't do everything on here, I don't think. So if I say a background color of green, just let's see if this works. But when I do the background color, you can see it's not actually coming in. There's no background color. If I give it a width of 50 pixels, it's not actually going to work or do anything. And that's because there's limited properties that we can actually control on the marker. So if I bring in the dev tools and we go and take a look in here, you can see the marker, and you can see all these things are coming on here. Actually, I wasn't sure if it would show them as valid or not, but we have nothing that's happening. Let's do just for fun, display block, which I don't even think has an effect on it. So like you could apply stuff, but not everything is going to work. So we can't really rely on the marker to do this. So instead of using the marker, we're not going to use, so because of that, we're not going to use the list style. So we can get rid of that. And what we're going to do instead is use counters. And I haven't used counters in a while. So MDM counters. And let's see how they work. Counter or counters? Counters. Yeah, this is the one I want. So it's pretty straightforward how with our lists. We can do counter resets, counter increment, and you can set the content. Oh, that's on a marker too. Oh, that's because it's on the LI. So they're doing it on there. I think we're going to do it, instead of doing it on the marker, we're going to create our own pseudo element. And I think that's going to work. On the numbered, we're going to do here a counter reset of my, we'll just say count. So if we had, this is important of resetting the counter, because say you had 3 different lists, they'd actually just keep counting. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, and then the next list could be 4, 5, 6. So by doing this, you just reset. Anytime we have a numbered list, or what do we call it? Numbered items, we're going to reset that. So if you had 2 or 3 on your page, it would always start at number 1, as you'd probably expect it to do. Then we can say that my numbered items li, so any list item that's in there will get the counter increment of my count. So we're saying this is my counter name, basically, is count. So this could be anything, number, numbered item, it doesn't matter. This is the name of your counter that's going to be going, and then we're saying take that and change, increment it by 1. And yeah, so here instead of using a marker, we're going to use an li before. So then we could come here and say numbered items li before, and let's just see if this is going to work. So content in this case is counters. Actually, counters and counter. You can have multiple counters, I think. I've never seen something like that before. Let's just try counter and put in count here and see if that works. I did. Okay, perfect. You can see 1, 2, 3 coming in. Aha, perfect. So part of the problem right now, I don't think I need that MDM article anymore. Part of the problem, let's go see, is my before has the content, so it's showing up. Is there. And that's on the li, and then we get, and then everything else. Okay, so we have the li, we have the before, and then we have the div here that has everything else. We're going to try something. Okay, let's style it a little more first. So here we have a background color is my var color accent 400, I believe, and my color itself should be my var color neutral 100, and we have a font weight bold on there. So font weight bold. Cool, that worked. Width, no, not width. I'm going to use padding. Padding we want top and bottom. So let's just try using my size, maybe 300, and then left and right can be a size 600, just to see what that looks like. It's a little bit big, so let's drop that to a 2 and a 4. 2 and a 6 maybe actually works. 2 and a 5. Right, and then last but not least, a border radius of 100 VW. So it gives us our pill shape. Nice. Now I just realized it's 010203. That's not a big deal at all, because to do that here where we have our counter, I think what we can do is right here do a 0. 0. That broke it. 0 count. 0 count. Whoops. Okay, we need that MDM article again. Okay, we need that MDM article again. Count. Oh, can I not? Comma. Isn't that what? Let's try it the other way around first. So we have count. So here, if I do comma and then 0, refresh. I've broken it. Let me go back for a sec here and just go to the regular counter. Oh, whoops. This comes here, and then we right here do my 0. Yeah, there we go, 10, 20, 30. So the other way around. We want the content is 0 followed by the counter. That makes sense, actually, because I was putting it inside the counter function, which, silly, Kevin. There we go, perfect. Now the only issue is if this went beyond 10, then obviously, or beyond 9, I should say, this would run into a problem, but we're not going to run into that. So there we go. Now the question is, how can we get this to go there? But the reason I like having it on the li is because of how I've set things up here. So this is on the li itself, then we have this div, and then we have the h3. Do I want this? I don't want it on the do I want it on the h3 instead? Or do I want it? Maybe I don't want it on the li. Maybe I actually want this on the div that's here. And then what I could do, I'm going to do that. Okay. So let's come here. Instead of doing it on the li, we're going to do it on the div. So the li can still increment the count, and then it's still going to work perfectly. Nothing visually should change right now. But what I can do now is on this div, and did I give that a name? It's just a div flow. I don't think my structure here would be any different, so I'm going to leave it like this. Yeah. So numbered items div, and we'll move this up actually as a selector to go right here. Let's see, display grid template columns of, let's just do 1FR and see what happens. Perfect. So now the reason I'm doing this is because I want my number and this to be one column, and then I want this to be on the next one. The reason that I want to do this is, I think it's going to be the easiest way to do this. But what I'm actually going to do is a min content here. So it's going to shrink and just fit the size of this 01, the 02, the 03. Now it's a bit broken because of the text underneath it. But then that's my paragraph, data width of wide. So this might not actually, I remember putting this in, maybe we won't even need it, but this is where things maybe, we're getting into the world of just like items div p. Maybe this div should actually have a class on it, just so we're not getting too kind of weird in here, but we could just say paragraph, I guess. Is going to be a grid column of 1/-1, and then it stretches the whole width. Perfect. The other thing here is let's do an align items of center. Perfect. And then let's also do a column gap of size 400, which should give us our space here, except this needs to be var. Perfect. Look at that. Super. Okay. I thought this would be a lot more complicated, and it actually worked out really well. So we have my numbered items div. We have those. That's perfect. Now we're going to background color first, or the other one. The background color, I'm actually going to do this. The problem with this design is we're seeing it at like this size, and we're seeing it at the small, like the smallest possible size, but we're not seeing what it looks like here. And because right now it looks ugly with the spacing that we have. So we're going to have to sort of tackle that. We'll do that in this video, but it just makes me wonder what we're going to do with these orange bars that go across like that. Because when they spill off the page, it looks fine. But if it didn't spill off the page, what would we do? And I'm not 100% sure, right? Because actually, I think what I'm actually going to do is sort of center this whole thing a little bit better than what is going now, instead of having this text just stretch it across the whole thing, because I think that would actually get looking kind of ugly. Because yeah, if it stretched all this, it would not look great. So I think what we'll do is that. And then, yeah. So here, actually, I think we're done. At that size, oh, we're not completely done. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, easy wins first. At media, min width of 50M, because that's what we've been using. Maybe this one actually gets changed to 40, just so we don't, we'll see. But then here what we'll do is say that this has a 2/-1. So there we go, look at that. Here we get the space underneath, like what we want, so it's the numbers are just floating on their own, and then when we get to there, and it like slots in underneath at these smaller sizes. Now I think what I'm actually going to do is really reduce this down for when that happens, which is the first time I'm using a different breakpoint, but I think it sort of just helps us fill up a bit more space. And then at those very small screen sizes, so let's just put on my responsive mode, and I'll leave this off screen. So then when we get down to this size, like when things start getting a little crowded, it slots in and goes underneath. But the rest of the time, we're not doing that. So yeah, I think we're going to stick with that. I think it's a little bit of a better behavior. And yeah, the joy of making these decisions. Perfect. I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, we just need to get that orange when we're at the smaller. Ooh, see, well, here's 320, which is you have some devices get smaller than 320. The folding devices can have a narrower one, but at one point, like, whatever, if that's good enough. So 320, I'm happy with that. So we just need to get that background on there. I can't do it on the P because my P has the gap on. Well, we could. No, we can't. If I do background, it'll just say orange for now, so something shows up. I'm doing it on the wrong one anyway. Numbered items H3. I might say it's the font size 600. There we go. The reason I'm saying on the font size 600 is like in this situation, it made sense for it to be an H3. Another time it might be an H2. Another time it might be an H1. We could also just, let's fix this up a little bit. So numbered items title. And then we'll do my pipe character. Then my P will get a class of numbered items body. So we have the numbered items title and body. So I'll just make sure this is on all of them. And I guess we should have done that on all of them at the same time, but that's fine. And then here, and then copy that, paste it, and paste it. The joy of not using regular HTML. So here, just because here, then we could say numbered items title, and then here is my numbered items body. And I forgot that one, so body. It makes it a little bit cleaner, I think. This I don't mind so much, saying div. It could be like numbered items container, maybe wrapper, something, numbered item. But yeah, the problem now with this background color being on there is we're sort of stuck within that space. But what's cool, let's do this as a before. And we'll throw some content on there. Content of nothing. And position absolute. Yeah, this could work. Absolute. And then grid column of 1 over -1. And a grid row of 1. Content position, and then on the grid itself, so that's display grid is here. So I would do a position of relative. And I think, I don't see anything showing up, including my background color, content, position. Let's go look at what's happening. So on there, I know it's off screen. So here's my before that's coming in. So my before does exist. It's just taking up no space. I gave it a position absolute. I gave it the grid column and row I want to live on, which is cool. You can do this with grid items. You can, I just want to say inset of 0, which then makes it fill up the whole space. Oh no, the grid row is not working. Over 2. Ah, it did work. Yes. Okay, so you just have to be a bit more explicit with it, and then it works. Perfect. Let's give that a Z index of -1, pull it backwards. Let's move that up. It's not quite what I was hoping for though. So it works if the text is on 1 line, but it doesn't work if the text breaks on 2 lines, because then it's following the height of the text and not following the height of the number, which sucks, because if that worked, it would have been perfect, because then what we could do is give this a border radius of 100 VW just to give it the pill shape, so it looks like it's just growing out of here. And then on the inset, which is top, bottom, left, and right, top right is the second value. So the right could be like -100 VW to pull it as far off as we want. Bottom is 0, 0, and then it shoots off the page. Of course, that's going to cause some overflow, which, I mean, we can get rid of that. That's not the end of the world. But just to show, that's something that we could sort of do. But we can't do that because it's a little bit busted here at the smaller screen sizes. So let's go and look actually just here. So see, there's actually stayed on 1 line at 320, right? Whereas mine's definitely not. I don't feel like my spacing is off. I'm pretty sure my font sizes are correct. Maybe my gap here could be a little smaller, but I don't think it's going to make a world of difference. That sucks. But I'd rather build something in here. So maybe what we could do instead, I'm going to try something here, whereas instead of using, we're going to say 1/2. Oh, because it's following the grid row. Because the other option is I could do this as a pseudo element of the 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. No, I can't. That's the number. That's a pseudo element itself. Pseudo elements can't have pseudo elements, which would be super cool and super useful. One option is to give these guys a height, and then I can just keep that height. I could use JavaScript to get the height of them. I'm leaning toward just setting a height. I don't normally do that, but here the padding will be 0 on the top and bottom, and we can come and give it a height of 50 pixels. Too much. 40 pixels. Actually, let's just come to Figma and see how tall it actually is. It's basically 40 pixels. Okay, so 40 pixels is what we want it to be. So 40 pixels is what we want it to be. This is all perfect. I'm just going to font weight, padding, height, border radius. I'll move this up. Background color. Okay. Background color, we'll switch those. And I just like keeping these a bit more organized when I have a lot of properties. So here we're also going to say then display of flex, and then an align items of center. I'm wondering, yeah, okay, that's fine. I know it's 40, like this is a magic number, really. One way we could clean this up a little bit is also with a custom property, but let's just make sure this is going to work before I worry about that. So here we could say height is 40 pixels. Maybe also, here I'm using position absolute, but I don't need to use position absolute. Instead of that, width, height, width, 100%, and display block. Cool, and then grid column, 1/2. Oh, the 100% is not going to work. Oh, you know what? I was thinking, if my numbered items title. Okay, 1 second. That's on the div. Okay, let's change this to numbered items div before or after. That one's a before, so this one should be the after. So it actually shows up. Good. Then, because it's there, I want my grid column 1/2 and my grid row, grid column 1/-1. Perfect. And then grid row 1/2. The only problem with this is I want to do it with overlapping content. Okay, let's just take this here though. Move it down. We have the before, we have the after. The problem with doing it this way is then, like here I sort of have to put everything, like my title has to be put on the same thing to cause the overlapping content. The advantage with doing it this way is what? What's the advantage of doing it this way? The advantage, so here grid content display flex grid row 1/2 grid column 1/2. See, it's easier to create overlapping content this way. So numbered items title grid column 1/, we have this somewhere, don't we? Did we never have to do it? Maybe we never had to bother. Grid row 1/2 grid column 2/3. See, we're back, but okay, so now at least like the bar is the right height. The only thing is now, like, I don't know if that's any better. Because the problem with what's happening now is like there's no padding basically. So maybe we'll also just say here the line height. Line height is 1. Because it works better. Okay, perfect. Obviously I need to fix my color up still too. And the spacing. So the advantage with doing it this way over what I had before is if we pull in my dev tools, the before here that I just added, so we have the before and the after, they can all participate in this grid without using position absolute. The advantage with that is I can set the height on them, and then they use the align items on the grid are working, whereas we sort of had the offset, and then you'd have to calculate what's the top going to be, and I don't know what the top would be. Maybe there was a better way of doing this that I'm not thinking of. But yeah, it worked. The one thing I will do is that's my, sorry, I'm scrolling up and down. That's my before. So there's a few things here because another advantage here actually, because they're both on the same div. So numbered items div, we'll say before, comma, after. The advantage with this now is the content isn't the same. The height is the same, so I can take the height off, and at least now it's one thing controlling the height of both of them. So you don't have to run in or worry about anything. This inset can also be taken off. At least there's that. I was thinking the content would be there, the display property could be there, but they're all different. But at least, you know, now we control the height. If I need it bigger, I can do the height of one of them, and it's doing the height of both of them. And so we don't really need a custom property there now. The other thing I'm going to do with this before is I'm actually going to do it in a min width at media max width of we'll do the 30em because that's the size when that sort of style changes. And the advantage of doing it this way, I wanted this as the after, not the before. The advantage of doing it like that after, it was the before. Except I just took the wrong one. The before can stay out here. And you know what, just, yeah. This one then comes into here and hit save. This Z index is also not doing anything anymore. So we can hit save. Perfect. And then this small screen sizes, it gets turned on and off. Oh, and the Z index was doing something. So we'll put it back on. And the reason the Z index is doing something is because we're in grid, so you don't need positioning or anything like that in grid for it to work. And so I'm actually going to make that my before and this my after. No. And so I'm just going to take this actually and move it all the way up to here and paste it in, just so the media query comes there, and we also have the before first and then the after second. So let's fix this a little bit more because we do need it to shoot out the side. So here, I'm saying border radius, we can do that 0, 100, 0, 0, 100 VW. We'll make it squared on that side. And I don't remember what I did, but let's find my container, .container. We have the padding here of 1 rem. So it's in the container. Yes, it's in the container, so it should be inheriting this. I'm wondering if this should actually be container padding. And then here I'm going to make this container padding, just so it doesn't get confusing on what this is doing when I bring it and use it somewhere else. So let's go find what we were working on, numbered items. These little design elements sometimes, and we could do this with positioning and other things to sort of extend it out. Or no, I was going to do this in a more complicated way. My before, let's just come in here and do a box shadow. Box shadow, 0 offset up and down. I'm going to do it with a different color. Let's just do 0, 0, 0, 0. We don't need that one. And we'll just say black for now, so we don't see it. If I do like 1em here, we can see that it's moved down, except I've done this on the wrong one. This one over here. So box shadow. So there we go. We get the box shadow that's doing that, or I can move 2 and it goes down 2. Or I could leave this one at 0 and I can do it the other way. So here we could do 1em and it goes out that way. We do 2em and it keeps on going. So let's just say like 5em or something. So it has a lot of movement that way. And the advantage with doing it as a box shadow is it can't cause any overflow. It's visual only. Box shadows don't have anything, so that it won't cause any overflow. The only thing is I want to be using the background color here. So let's go see what color it's supposed to be. It's the really light version. I think it's the same as that, and I don't think I have a color that's using it. Is it this? We'll try that. Accent 100. So var, actually what we'll do here is we'll say background, or BG is my var accent 100, because then I can use that var BG here, and I would use it here too, var BG. Hit save. Let's get Figma out of the way. Except I double varred it here for some reason. Get rid of that, get rid of that. There we go. Oh, it is that color too. And so here, the nice thing with this is, I changed this. We want it to be my 400 for some reason, and it updates both at the same time. So I'm changing my box shadow and my background at the same time. Perfect. I'm happy that actually worked. I wasn't too sure. So here it's working. It looks okay. I think that's a good point to actually turn off that, because at one point, like, it's going to stretch, like, if that color just, like, if this is empty, I think it's going to look ugly if it's stretching into that space. So I think it's sort of the right time to actually turn it off right around there anyway, so that's good. Now, the last thing I really want to do is just like this middle ground where it's kind of awkward. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to try margin inline of auto. No? Okay. Oh, okay. And width is fit content. Okay, good. I'll explain this in a second. I just want to make sure it works. It's okay there. And then at the large screens, it's still working. Perfect. So fit content is a intrinsic size where it's a lot like doing min content, or not min content will shrink to the smallest it can possibly get. So I'm guessing it's the word company here. So it's like, take this div and make it as small as you can make it without causing any line breaks effectively. Then we have the opposite, which is max content, which means there's no line breaks. It won't allow any line breaks. The difference is we have a max width set on our paragraphs. It just means that it's going to cause side scrolling, or zooming out, but it would cause side scrolling because it's that max width we have on our paragraphs is going to be it's the max content size, so it will never shrink smaller than that. Whereas fit content is sort of in between the two of them, where it will hit that max content size, but if there's not enough room, it allows for line wraps. So it does that, and then it can center the content with the margin inline of auto. Now the issue is obviously what's happening here. Let's go down into my utility classes. We have some justify. Do we have a center text? Center. It's been a while since I've been working on this project, so I don't remember all of the different things that we've done. So even columns, and then here. So let's come in here and say we did that. So I'm going to come here and do inside the same media query, I guess. We might as well do it here. Is a, oh no, I need it the other way around. I only want it centered at small screen sizes. So we're going to create two. I'm just trying to figure out even columns, container, visually hidden, and then my text stuff. So I'm going to put it with my text stuff, and we'll say text center can be a text align center. So this we can use, and I think we need it in different places just to text align at any size whatsoever. And then I'm going to do text center small only, which would be text align center. The only difference is we will steal U, wrap all of that, and change this over to a max. So then that is this div right here, which has my H2, and that can get a text align, text center small only. So it's centered and perfect. Well, perfect. You can see that there is a problem, and I think I have a spacing issue there too, which is fine. We'll fix that spacing issue, but we'll fix this first. And the way we can fix that is, this is one of those handy ones if you're using Sass. There's an easier way to do this. But basically what we want to do is, because we have a max width set on our paragraphs and on our text, the color here is off. We'll look at that too. because the text is has a max width on it, when it gets centered, it gets pushed to the side. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm just trying to think if this will break things. Text center P gets a margin inline of auto. Now this could actually break stuff. If we could do it so like anything that starts with text center, but it would actually cause more issues than anything else. So we do need to repeat that here. Text center small only P, and we give it the same margin inline. So it's only getting that margin inline at the small sizes and not at the bigger ones, just because if not, it would actually get centered within this space, but it would be left aligned and it would just look really weird. So we're centering it only when it has the text align center on it. Cool. Now we have that spacing issue where these should be closer together. So let's go take a look at what's causing that space. The margin top on here. Okay, so this is because I'm doing this in my dev tools. And the reason that's coming on there is because we have the flow here. And if you remember when we set up the flow, we actually did it with a really big space. And we did it with a really big space because most places actually needed to have a really big spacing on it. But clearly here, we don't need that. And let's see what it looks like here. So if this is in the Figma file, we have 24 space there. And here, is it the same? I'm going to treat it like it's the same because it's going to be a lot easier. So this div here, it has the flow, and we'll say style is equal to, and so the space is 24. So in here, we want this 24 is 1.5 rem. So we can put the 1.5 there, and it should suck it in. It's giving me an error. Oh, stop. We want this to be my flow spacer is 1.5 rem. There we go. And it's nice and close. That also makes me think that once again, we'll shrink it down with my dev tools. And if we look at it here, now we need more spacing underneath. So after this div, we should have a big chunk of space. I think we did create these padding classes here. I am just going to do it this way. Again, margin, we'll just do margin. I was doing block, so I'm going to say bottom, but we'll see what we're going to do here. Margin bottom of the space look pretty big, so we'll start with 700. I'm going to say margin block end is my var size 700. Again, I sort of mentioned this a few times. If you've been following along, you've heard it before, but like ideally, we're not building these out. We have something generating these classes if we're going to be using them this way, but whatever. So here on this div, which has these two things of text, here we can small only, margin bottom 700. It gives us our space here, but if we're at this screen size, there's a margin here, it just doesn't affect anything. I'm putting margin bottom here because it's easier to write and faster to write than block end is. The reason I'm putting it as margin block end is because here I did the shorthand. If you mix margin block and margin bottom or top, they actually don't overwrite. Like if you did a margin block end and a margin bottom, they're not going to overwrite each other, even if you have it two times, because it's two different properties. So in general, if you're using logical properties, you want to stick with it. I might have made a mistake somewhere in here and not done that everywhere, but just to say, in general, we don't want to mix and match them. But yeah, I'm actually happy with how that turned out. It took a little bit longer in a way than I'd anticipated, but at the same time, not as long maybe. Some of the problems that I ran into weren't as big as I thought they would be. I'm pretty happy with sort of the compromise that we came up with here. So yeah, just as a quick note, if you have been following along with this series, we're going to keep on going with it, but I'm only going to be posting one video per week on this series, and the other video that comes out each week will be my regular, just sort of one-off videos. So the series will slow down a little bit. If I do get a whole bunch of videos that are all ready, I might just do a little blast of them to finish things off. We'll see if we get there or not, though. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.